Hello, so here's part two of the naming notes. So this is where we left off with the polyatomic ions. So you have this list in your note packet as well. Yep, so these are all the polyatomic ions that you want to know about. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and yeah, any of these might be on the test, so you want to get to know them, okay? Now, a couple things with this, I'm not going to read through the whole list for you because you can look at it in your notes too. But there's only one positive polyatomic ion that you need to know about. That's this ammonium right here. The rest of them are all negative ions, and most of them are oxyanions, except for cyanide right here. Cyanide has no oxygen in it, and it's that Cn with a -1 charge. And again, polyatomic ions they're a group of atoms that have a charge to them, all right? And they act as a single unit. So yeah, these you want to get to know these. There's a couple patterns that you want to know. I have these four highlighted right here. The hypochlorite, chlorite, chlorate, and perchlorate. Hypo means less than. That was in the previous page of notes. So it has less oxygen than the chlorite. That's what the hypo denotes. And then the per means more than. So it has one more oxygen than the chlorate. So it has 4 oxygens compared to the 3 that are in chlorate. So this pattern right here, this hypoite, ate, perate, this really applies to any halogens, any of those halogen elements. So you want to make note of that. So if I had like fluorine in here instead of chlorine, so if this was an FO -1 charge, you would call that hypofluorite. Or if I had iodine, say I had iodine right here, so it'd be IO2 -1, you would call that iodite. So you want to be able to apply this pattern to any of those halogen elements. So I know that's a lot. One thing that helps a little bit is their charges are all -1. So if you ever if there's a halogen involved at all, even if it's just a single monatomic halogen, or if it has oxygens attached to it, we know the charge is going to be -1. So that part helps a little bit. But the naming, you want to get this pattern down. Okay. So now applying this. Oh, there's one more thing with the elbow on the periodic table. So let me go back up and I'll explain that. I'll find the periodic table. So here's our periodic table. Okay. So the elbow that I'm referring to is right here. So boron over to fluorine, really down to iodine, but you could also include acetine down here. But this is your elbow on the periodic table. Okay. So now the rule with this, if elements on the elbow, if it's an 8, if it ends with 8, it's going to have 3 oxygens. If it ends with 8, it's going to have 2 oxygens. So that helps remember a little bit. So 8s have 3 oxygens, 8s have 2 oxygens for any element on the elbow. It doesn't help you with the charge that much, but it helps you with the formula. Elements inside the elbow, and really phosphorus and sulfur, kind of the main ones that you have to worry about. The 8s have 4 oxygens, so PO4 -3 would be called phosphate. SO4 -2 would be called sulfate. So the 8s have 4 oxygens, and the 8s have 3 oxygens. So really it's these two that you have to worry about, but really it would apply to any of these elements inside the elbow. Okay, so going back to where we were. Okay, now let's practice a little bit. So same deal. If you want to try this out on your own before I go through the answers, you want to pause the video. Otherwise, here's the answers right now. So the first one is calcium sulfate. So calcium, you don't change the ending of that positive ion. SO4, that's one of the polyatomic ions. That's just called sulfate. So we don't change the endings of the polyatomic ions. You just take it at whatever's on that list. That's what you're going to use. Magnesium, Mg is magnesium, and then the ClO2, that is called chlorite. That's on your list. If you have, when you write out the formulas, if you need more than one polyatomic ion to make sure the charges cancel out, then we want to put parentheses around them and then the subscript on the outside to say how many we need. So in this case, magnesium's +2, chlorites -1, so you need 2 of these chlorites to cancel out the charge of magnesium. But as far as naming it, you're just going to name those ions. Copper, now copper is a transition metal, so the rule of the Roman numerals still applies. Copper, you have to say if it's copper 1 or copper 2. So now you look and see Cn is called cyanide, so that's going to be your negative ion. Well, there's 2 of the cyanides in the formula. Each cyanide is -1. That means the single copper has to be +2, so it's copper Roman numeral 2. And then over here you have silver. Silver, even though it's a transition metal, does not need a Roman numeral, so you just call it silver. And then Fo, now this is the pattern of those halogens with the oxygens. So it's fluorine with just a single oxygen. It has a -1 charge. So that's the hypoite. So then you put the root of the halogen right in here, so it's called hypofluorite. So it's called silver hypofluorite. So that's an example of using those that pattern for the halogens for any type of halogen that might be there. In this case, it's fluorine. All right, next. The next type is binary covalent compounds, and this is where you have 2 nonmetals. So 2 elements that are in the upper right of the periodic table. So this is a different naming method. The first element in the formula is named first using the full element name, so you don't change it. The second element is named as if it were an anion, so you give it an "ide" ending right here. And then in this case, we want to say how many of each element there are by using these prefixes. Prefixes are used to denote the number of atoms present. These prefixes are given in the table in the intro unit notes, and I'll show you on the next slide here too. The prefix mono is never used for naming the first element. And then to avoid awkward pronunciations, sometimes we drop a vowel. So I'll show you an example like this. N2O4, the prefix for 2 is di, and then we don't change the ending of the first element, so we just call it dinitrogen. And then the prefix for 4 is tetra, and then this would be called oxide, so this would have a "ide" ending. So we call this tetroxide. We don't call it tetraoxide. Sometimes we drop a vowel. This is an example where we do that. So before go through the answers, here's the prefixes that you need to know. Really, you probably only have to know up to hexa, but there's also 7 through 10 for you. Seeing hepta, octa, nona, and deca, we just don't see that very often. It's possible, but really if you know through hexa, you're probably pretty good. Okay, so here's the examples. So CO, I'll show the answers now. So CO is carbon monoxide. So you don't call it, again, you drop a vowel here, so you don't call it monooxide. You just call it monoxide. Sounds a little better. And then you don't use mono on the first element, so you don't call this monocarbon monoxide. If there's only one of the first element, we drop the mono. So it's called carbon monoxide. Next one, Cl2Br5. There's 2 chlorines, so we use the prefix di. So it's dichlorine, and then pentabromide. Now, a lot of people want to call this dichloride pentabromide, but the first element, you don't change the ending. Even though most of the time you see chlorine in a compound, you're calling it chloride, but in this case, it's the first one listed, so you're not changing the ending. Next one, S is sulfur, and there's only 1, so we drop the mono. The prefix for 4 is tetra, so change the ending of chlorine to an "ide", so it's sulfur tetrachloride. There's the prefixes again. Okay, now going the other direction, if you're given the name and you want to write up the formula, so a couple of rules. In an ionic compound, the charges need to cancel, so you have to have enough of each ion to make them add up to 0. So you proportion, so the total charges of the formula equals 0. That's where we use the subscripts. And then parentheses will only be necessary if you require more than 1 unit of a polyatomic ion to balance out the chemical formula charge. So here's some examples right here. This is where you want to know the ionic charge for all of these. So if you want to try these out again, pause the video, otherwise I'll go through the answers now. Okay, so the first one, aluminum bromide. Aluminum is +3. Bromide is a halogen, so it's -1, so you need 3 -1s to cancel out the +3, AlBr3. Calcium iodate. Iodate is one of the polyatomic ions, so it has a -1 charge. Calcium is a +2 ion, so since we need 2 of a polyatomic ion, we're going to put parentheses around iodate, subscript 2. Lead 2 nitride. The Roman numeral 2 tells you that lead is a +2 charge. Nitride is just N with a -3 charge. So we want to get +6 and -6 to cancel out. So 3 +2s and 2 -3s make it add up to 0. So there's your subscripts. The last part is on acids. Acids have their own separate naming rules. So acids, we'll have a whole chapter on acids later on. Right now you just want to name them. So we want to recognize it as a molecule with 1 or more hydrogen ions attached to an anion. The name of the acid is determined by the ending of the anion. So here's the 3 rules down here. So there's 3 possibilities of how the anion ends, and this is the naming rule. And what goes in the blank is the root of the name of the anion. So here's some examples right here. So we'll practice this a little bit. Okay, so HF. So we know it's an acid because it starts with H. They all start with H, whether it be 1, 2, it could be 3 hydrogens in front. If it starts with H, you want to name it as an acid. So we look for the anion that's in the acid. That's going to determine how we name it. So F is the name of that anion is called fluoride. So now we go back to our rule. The anion ends "ide," so we're going to put the root of the name of the anion right in here, which would be fluor in this case. So we would call that hydrofluoric acid. I'll show the answers here in just a minute. SO3 is called sulfite. So when you have an ite ending for the anion, you're going to change it to an OUS ending for the name of the acid. So you'd call this one sulfurous acid. And then the CrO4, this is another polyatomic ion called chromate. With an ate ending, you change it to an ic ending for the name, so you'd call it chromic acid. These last 2 do not have hydro in front. If you have an ide ending, that's the only time that you use the prefix hydro. So there's your answers right there. Alright, so that's the end of the notes. We'll practice with this naming. I know it's a lot of information, but we'll practice quite a bit. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.